Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my Callisto Protocol Maximum Security walkthrough, and this is chapter 2 called Outbreak. And where we left Jacob last time, he was in a ship crashing into the surface of Callisto. And things haven't really gotten better since we saw him then. He has now become the latest resident at Black Iron Prison, so we've gotten a snazzy new haircut, a jumpsuit, and also a green bar draped across his neck. That is a microchip that indicates your health. Because this game is very inspired, to put it mildly, by Dead Space. And in Dead Space you have a meter going up Isaac's spine. But here they wanted to change it up a little bit, so instead we have an indicator across the back of Jacob's neck. And we're gonna try to keep that at max at all times. And you saw a little transition. That was a little cutscene that I have trimmed out, because Jacob meets another inmate called Elias. Elias has been a resident of Black Iron Prison for many a year. And he gives you your first weapon called the Shiv. You can use that for stealth kills, which we will be using very much in a level later on in the game. But its main use is for opening doors. And here we will get our second weapon, a sledgehammer. And here we also get our combat tutorial. Because to dodge incoming attacks in this game, you hold the left analog stick to the side, either to the right or to the left. And when you are in combat, and then you use R2 to melee attack. And when you are in combat, you need to, when an enemy is like in a combo swing against you, you have to pull either to the right first, and then you need to move it over to the left. So you alternate in between the two different directions. But in the first video I said that I have assisted dodging on. And that, the only thing that does is that you only have to hold the stick to one side. You don't need to alternate in between them. I have a tendency to do it either way. But it just makes it a little bit easier. If you're struggling with the dodge mechanic, that makes a big difference. An important thing to know about the dodge mechanic, that is, I think they could have done a much better job of explaining this in the game, but there is no parry window. If an enemy is coming towards you, just hold the stick either to the left or right, dealer's choice, you decide, and you will dodge. There's no timing you need to keep track of to be able to dodge. Just hold it to the side and Jacob will automatically dodge. And after the first initial attack, if you're not using dodge assistance, just switch it over to the other side. And this enemy right here, this is the first real enemy we are encountering. And if you're completely new to this game, I would actually recommend that you spend 2, maybe 3 minutes just dodging him. There is a checkpoint just before you encounter him, so if you die or take damage, just reset the checkpoint. But spend a few minutes just getting a feel for the dodge mechanic. Because it is quite strict. As I said, you have to move the analog stick either to the right or to the left, and you have to do it at quite a flat angle. Because if you move it at like a slight angle forward, or not super slight, but at an angle forward, it will do nothing. You will take a hit. And on maximum security, you will feel that hit. Because enemies on this on this difficulty, they hit quite hard. And if you move it at an angle backwards, Jacob will block instead. And I think, I'm not gonna swear to it, but I think you do take chip damage when you block an attack. So always go for the dodge and make sure you get a feel for it. And there is also something called perfect dodging. There is a trophy in this game called Float Like a Butterfly. And that is for performing 5 perfect dodges. And what is a perfect dodge, you may ask? That is a mechanic they never explain in this game. Only way to even find out that it actually exists is through either sheer fucking luck in timing a dodge or reading through the trophy list. And the thing, to do a perfect dodge, I think you can't hold down the analog stick to either side. You have to like tweak it at the very second an enemy swings. I can say and you will know that you have done a perfect dodge because the dodge animation will be in slow motion. That is the indicator that you have dodged perfectly. And I don't really know what it does. I think I read that it gives you an opportunity to do another swing, but I'm not sure. I went through this game. I got that trophy by grinding an enemy. I know a lot of videos recommend that guy that I said you should practice the dodge mechanic on. Do it on him. Just stay there until you unlock the trophy, because I feel there is no way, at least I would do it for just normal gameplay, because there would be too big of a risk of taking a hit if you don't get the dodge in time. Was the rest of that sentence. And also, all the pickups you see me doing is something I highly recommend you do as well, because I said that we are gonna try to keep our health at full throughout this entire game as best we can. Because something to know about combat, this is very important, should probably have said this earlier. When you start dodging, never try to break an enemy's attack combo. Enemies here at the beginning of the game will usually do, I think it's a maximum of 3 swings. Could be 4. But you will see that they go into a combo, and after the combo they will like stand down a little bit, and that is your opportunity to swing. Never swing until you are sure his combo or an enemy's combo is done. And there's no stress, you will always have like a second to see, okay, he's done, I can start swinging. Because if you try to break their combo, chances are they will continue their swing and you will take damage. And whenever you kill an enemy in this game, they will always drop loot, without exception. So when you have downed an enemy, always stomp on their corpse. I can't remember which button it is for stomping, but I think it's like R1 or something. By the way, stay away from that corpse, because there is like a small slug-like enemy that will attack you if you get too close to that corpse. So steer clear, stay over to the right. But the loot in this game, as I said, all the enemies will drop loot on death if you stomp on their corpses. So you can't just beat the shit out of them and pick up the loot. You have to stomp the corpse afterwards. And this game has a really interesting loot mechanic, I guess is the correct term. Because it will give you the loot, it feels that you will need the most. So if you're low on health, chances are very great that the enemies will drop health. If you are very low on ammo and you're high on health, the enemies will probably drop ammo. Or they will drop credits, and credits are used to buy upgrades in the shops. So that is why you want to try to keep your health high, because then the enemies will either drop ammo or credits. Usually it's credits. Much to do because I very rarely use firearms in this game. I mainly use them for either spitters, which is an enemy we'll run into later, and bosses, because the bosses I think you have to use firearms. And this here, this is a little stealth section. There we have a guard robot, and what we're gonna do is follow him. Make sure to take this nice and slow. Hide behind these covers. This is very easy because he will just stand there looking for a few seconds and he will move on and you can go into the next section. When you get out here, be quick in behind this wall. He will never backtrack as long as you're crouching. I'm not sure if you are like standing up and making noise, maybe he will catch on to you, but in my experience these seem to be quite deaf. But just for precaution's sake and so you don't have an unnecessary reset, just follow the steps I'm going. Be very slow about this, wait for him to move on his jolly little path. He will turn to the right and he will be out of your life. There is also a trophy for killing one of those guard droids. Can't remember what the trophy is called. Also, when you get in here, do not open this chest. Do not open it. It is a trap. You see? I open it so you don't have to. That slug will always be in there, so don't open that chest. That was my mistake. It was stupid, but I did it so I can show you. The good thing about me doing it is that I can show you why you shouldn't do it. And there you also saw, I said that I have put on quick time events as single button presses. Because those slugs, when they attack you, and sometimes enemies can grab you, and if the quick time events in this game are very simple, it's always just grinding the triangle button. If you're playing this on PlayStation, and on Xbox it's, what is it, Y, I think. But if you have to grind it or mash that button, you will take damage because the enemy will hurt you in the meantime. But having it as a single button press will negate that, because Jacob will instantly break free, so the enemies will not have time to hurt you. And as I said, we are gonna try, you'll want to stay at full health throughout this game as much as you can, because when, as I said, when the enemies hit you, they hit like a truck, especially towards the back half of the game. It feels like the enemies get like a damage upgrade, even though you will be getting better armor. Because here at the beginning of the game you only have 6 inventory slots and this lovely orange jumpsuit. And later in the game you will be getting a new suit, and it will expand your inventory to, I think it's 12 slots, so it will double in size. And going into this room there are 2 enemies. Focus on the one closest to you and try to never get caught in between 2 enemies. You do not want to be the meat in a biophage manwich. 2 enemies will not attack you at the same time, so you don't have to worry about that. Like in action movies, they are very kind to only attack you once at a time. But the thing is, they may alternate in between attacking you. And Jacob will not dodge an attack that's coming in from behind. So always try to keep both enemies at one side of you. And as soon as you have killed the first enemy, the second enemy will be like, fuck this, I'm out of here. So he will just run away. So we only have to kill the first one. And now I hope you haven't gotten emotionally attached to the sledgehammer already, because we are gonna get rid of it. Instead, we're gonna pick up the stun baton, which will be our main main weapon throughout this game. And this is part baton, part sword. I would say it can, if you upgrade it, it can pack a brutal punch. You can have a lot of fun with this weapon. And be careful when you come over here. Right, first you have to go back and press a button, but an enemy will pop out of that hole in the floor, so you're prepared for that. And we're gonna kick his ass straight into this wall. Like so. That is something, when you have spiked enemies against one of those walls, or something like that, it can be a problem to try to stomp them, but then you can just swing at them with the stun baton, and Jacob will do some minor mutilation, and you can get loot that way. And when it comes to your inventory, how you should allot the spaces in your inventory, I like to always keep a med kit in my inventory, like this one, pick up right here. Keep one of those, and also keep, you can have 12 bullets per inventory slot when you pick up the pistol. I always like to keep one inventory slot allotted to one med kit, maybe a 12 pack of bullets. Anything excessive to that, sell it, because you want to stack up credits. It's better to put to sell those things and buy upgrades instead, I would say. And in this fight, this is the last fight of the level, I think. Be careful, you saw me running in and taking out the first enemy. I usually try to bait that enemy out here into the corridor, because there is an enemy you saw vaulting over the bench there, but there is also an enemy coming in from behind. And you want to be careful so he doesn't surprise you. On my first playthrough of this game, I didn't see him coming and I got smacked straight in the back. And of course, as you will be seeing quite a lot throughout this game, always stomp the corpses. Never leave a corpse unstomped. That's what I say. Because you want to pick up all the good stuff they will drop for you. And also a thing to know, when you chop off an enemy's arm, which is quite usual that you will do, after that, when they have one arm, they will only do single swings. So as soon as you have mutilated an enemy, one swing only. That is a good thing to know. And I always like when there is no way to do it intentionally. It usually just happens. And here you're supposed to sneak past Captain Ferris. It's very simple. All you have to do is walk over to that box and find the exit. This is gonna run up here, and we have gotten through Outbreak. No. We have one final corridor to go through. There is nothing over there. I was a bit unsure if there was a crate you could open or not. This is the end of the level. So, as always, I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.